Welcome back to the Lords of Lore Podcast. I'm Matt, and today I've got a new show to bring to you. This show is called Collision. Now, it's going to work a little bit like Unabashed, where we bring in a special guest who's extremely nerdy about the specific topic. However, I won't be interviewing that guest. Instead, we get another guest who's also extremely nerdy about the same topic, and we put them together and we make a show out of it. We don't really know how it's going to work right now, but this concept is something we love here on the podcast. We want to bring people together who are also fans of the same things. We want to share our love of nerdy stuff, and what better way to do that than to introduce people who we already know love the same things. So today we are talking about Halo. We got returning special guest Joe Lopez, and we got my co-host Will from the main show. Big Halo fans, never been able to talk about it in the same room together. And without any further ado, let's see the collision.
My name is Will, and I would say I'm I guess very long time Halo fan. It's kind of weird to say a long time considering how long the series has been out there. Yeah. What about you?
Well, if anyone doesn't know me already, Joe, and I've been a fan for a while now. I basically grew up watching my brother play it when I was really young, back when like Halo 2 and Halo 1 were both like on the cusp. So long time fan as well.
Yeah. And like that's, you said you grew up like kind of watching your brother play it and stuff. Like, did you ever like jump in on like campaign mode?
Yeah. So no, man. Like I was like man. I was really young, so I wasn't like a gamer boy back then. I used to just like watching my brother, who was a little older than me. He played games, so he'd play with my cousins and stuff. And we didn't have an Xbox originally, so same thing. He would watch other people. He's like, we gotta get one, man. We gotta play. Finally, we convinced my aunt to buy us one, and then he started playing Halo way back when. And I was like, I couldn't play anything. I was just like drop a controller immediately because I didn't know how to play. So I grew up kind of enjoying watching him play for a while.
Yeah.
What about you? How about you? How long have you liked it realistically?
I want to say probably around like, I want to say 2004, 2005. It was around the time Halo 2 came out. It was similar kind of situation. I didn't have like an OG Xbox, so I kind of grew up sort of playing it and watching like one of like my older friends play it, like, you know, like neighborhood friend, like kids and stuff like that. So, and like for me, that's where it all kind of started, because I just didn't have an Xbox back then. So like we go to his place, or like he'd bring it over and stuff and rip legendary mode. I'm kidding, we were pretty trash, but mostly just silent cartographer on easy mode. Yeah.
Classic. I think that's how it was back in the day, man. Only like one in like, I don't know, 5 kids usually had like an Xbox, and so everyone else would be like, yo, your house this weekend? Go kick it and watch someone else play Halo. What drew you in?
I think just for me, a lot of it was just like the overall aesthetic. I just found it very easy to get into, and that's kind of like what has always drawn me to it. I mean, it would just kind of point and shoot at the bad guys, which were space aliens and stuff like that. Like it was like, for me, I always found it like sci-fi, but like kind of more of like on like the believable side, because it's series is set like 500 years into the future, and it's kind of like it's just like easy. I think I always found it to be to like fit into it.
Yeah, it's digestible.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
Well, especially like the earlier ones too, where it's like the plot lines I always found to be a lot more like basic. Like
linear.
Yeah, and I guess since we're talking about Halo, like, and we want to get into a little bit more, like what brought you into, like, I guess did you ever get into like, I guess, the Halo expanded universe that exists outside of the games?
Yeah. My first exposure to that, though, that actually brought me in was ODST, and I feel like that was like a lot for people too, because it was like, you're not the chief, you're just the dude. I chef's kiss ODST so much. I know it's like a look down on game, but I love ODST. and that's when they introduced firefight, and that was like back when it was like a new concept to do like the wave based thing. So I loved firefight, and I love like just seeing like the other people who aren't as badass and that she's still struggling to do the same shit, but managing to do it in like a kind of like a cool select like unit special ops almost.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting in the Halo universe because you only see them as side like little minions NPCs before.
Yeah.
So I think ODST was the big one for me, and then right after that was Reach, and that was just like even better.
Yeah.
How about you? How did you get into the?
For expanded universe, so like, actually, like I got into like reading the Halo books like, around the time when like Halo 2 came out. So like I remember like ripping through. I think the first book I read was called Halo First Strike, and it's set in between Halo 1 and Halo 2. Because again, like I didn't have like an Xbox. So like that was like the way I would get exposed to it at home, I guess. Yeah. No, I think that was my favorite.
Yeah,
like
touch of Halo.
Yeah, and it was like because one of the characters in that particular book was in ODST, so it was like kind of cool, like when Halo 3 ODST dropped, because like I wasn't expecting it. I didn't like follow any of the game news or anything like that, so I was pretty pumped when that came out because ODST is probably, I would say, probably my second favorite game, I think.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with like the Halo universe, like it's grown so much, like a lot considerably. Like I like haven't really, like I kind of fell out of it for a while, and like I've recently started to get back into it, just like ripping like some of the old games and stuff like that, just in the past few months, mostly because I saw the trailer for Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
So like, have you ever like, I guess, fallen out of the fandom, like stopped immersing yourself in the Halo world?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like in a sense took a break, especially since like how many years was it between like Halo 3 and 4 and like 4 and 5, and especially because like 4 was all right and then 5 was all right as well at best, I guess. But yeah, I think around that time I took a pretty big break from like even looking into the Halo stuff.
Yeah.
Every so often, especially like when Master Chief Collection came, I would jump back into like the older type of games. Like I play Reach. I play the shit out of Reach all the time. Like I try like at least once every few years to run it back. But I've never fully quit out of it. But definitely like taking breaks. What about you?
Like I guess mostly because I didn't have, so like the only Xbox generation I've ever had was like the 360. So and like I kind of stopped playing online because like I played the shit out of Halo 3 multiplayer, like a lot. And then I think I just around that time, like I kind of just stopped playing it just because I stopped playing online. So like around the time, like shortly after Halo 4 dropped, I think I stopped. And I did play like a little bit when like Halo 5 came out, but it was mostly just like when I like chilling with a bunch of friends and stuff like that who had an Xbox One, so we just like rip campaign mode together and stuff. But yeah,
and be disappointed after.
Yeah, we can get into that.
The 5 was
I think that started with 4 though, like just the look would just
it
like,
definitely did.
Like I remember like getting Halo 4 and like pumped and stuff, and I was like kind of like, what the fuck, like with some of the like, mostly just like the armor designs. That was to me just like weird. Just yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
It definitely changed up a lot in Halo 4. It was a little weird too.
Yeah, like it's just my dude somehow got extra tall, but also lost a lot of his armor, like the shoulder pads and stuff like that. Just to me look kind of whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and like around
While
that
he was
time,
frozen in space, he changed armor somehow.
yeah, yeah. Um, I guess like what like more on like the aesthetic side of things. Like, have you like are there like any other changes and stuff like that, like that you've noticed with the series that you may have liked or disliked?
Like when Reach came out, they were like, the armor you know and love, but like, how about you can customize it a little more? But it still looked a little bit closer to the Mark III armor, and I was like, okay, like I can mess with this. I like this a lot. I genuinely like the armor in Reach, but then yeah, Halo 4 was definitely like a big step for them where they tried changing it, and it was kind of like, like I still think it doesn't look bad. Like I like his helmet in Halo 4 a lot, but it's iconic. But yeah, the rest of his armor I was kind of like, and then even the armor in like the online stuff was hit or miss, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And I kind of liked I liked how like Reach could like customize the armor like in the campaign mode and like firefight and stuff.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like every time I've ever played Reach, it's always been the same armor sets or like combination. Because like there's so much like choices, but I always found that
Hayabusa.
yeah. That Hayabusa.
Hayabusa sword.
You see someone with like the flaming skull helmet or like the recon armor on Halo 3 online. It was just like wild.
Yeah, exactly.
Never
You're like impressed, but also like, dude, I fucking wish I had.
yeah, for real. And like, yeah, because like I'd never had the armor sets for Halo 3, which is always sadness and pain. But what do you think about like the new Halo Infinite armor?
I like that they have like the different versions of armor. I am not a fan that you're limited to certain armor pieces per armor set. Like if you had a similar piece that go on a different armor and it slightly changed because it was that armor, I'd be okay with it. The fact that like I can't use like the Eva helmet on like one of my armor sets that I have the cooler like body and like shoulders and stuff. Like I want to use the Eva helmet. It's like no, I can't. And then they introduced like the samurai set, the Yorai set, and that shit looks sick. But same thing, like I want to put a samurai sword on my other armor.
yeah, for real. And then, well, like my understanding is like there's almost like a like kind of like a microtransactions. Is that am I right? So like I don't actually have disclaimer. I don't have Halo Infinite. I just watched the campaign video on YouTube. Like a plug, but
yeah, but yeah, the microtransactions they've set up, like, they're trying to fix it with like some of the amounts you pay for it. But even that's like, back in the day it was like, okay, grind a lot, get it. Or like Halo Reach, I think had perfect of like every time you finish the game or whatever, like you get credits and then you can use those to like buy whatever armor you want. And now it's like, you want cool armor? Well, give us $5. You want the color blue? Give us $3. And it's like I shouldn't have to pay to put the generic ass green or blue on my character.
Yeah, the whole paywall situation is kind of like, I don't know. It's just like kind of whack. But like what do you think about his like campaign armor? Because like to me it looks like a throwback to Halo 1, like again somehow.
Yeah, definitely. So I love that they went that route. My one qualm with it is that they've been jumping armors so much that like I wish they would have just stayed with like the original Halo to begin with, or like the Halo 3 version would be okay. But the fact that we've had like 5 different changes now, and it's like, yeah, now we're getting that payoff of going back to Halo CE, but it's like, how long did it take for you to actually decide that was a good call? A few too many years in my.
It like to me like it was almost like a net grab to bring back like those who want to reminisce about the series, aka me.
Yeah. I don't know about you. Like, if you look at like Halo CE, like his like armor, I thought it looked great, and then you skip to now, and they've made him like a little taller, a little bit like slender almost. That he looks like like skinny tall chief. He's slender chief now, and it's a
Yeah.
little weird. I don't know personally. I think it looks. You can definitely tell it's like not the iconic like build he had.
Yeah, and like I think they just did that to like set him apart from like the Spartan 4s. Because like I remember like playing like Halo 4 when it dropped,
Mhm.
and like I didn't even know about the Spartan 4 and stuff like that. Because like again, I kind of fell off from the
Yeah.
series and the fandom. So like I remember like there were a few missions where like I thought they were just like ODSTs with like shields, and I was kind of like, huh, what the fuck? And then, but like to me, like I think they just
Yep.
did it to set him apart, like I guess from like the lore perspective, because he's supposed to be like bigger and taller and stronger, etc. Because of his,
Yeah,
I guess, the way he became a Spartan.
they're supposed to be like the big ones, like the OG ones.
Yeah, but there's another cutscene where he's like eye level with Sarah, so it's like kind of weird because like is my guy just like crouching down this whole time, like.
Oh
yeah, yeah,
the inconsistencies in that, like, yeah, I saw someone post that, and it's like the scene where they're like eye level together, and she's like, "I thought you'd be taller," and then like at the end of the game, you see him, and he's just like a full foot and a half taller than her. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, get your shit together. It's not that hard.
yeah. And like everyone in the ship is just like stopping what they're doing because like this monster's walking through the ship, but like yeah, gameplay wise, he's just like just as tall. uh,
And
yeah.
that's inconsistencies, children.
yeah. So
um,
yeah.
I was gonna say, what's your favorite game? Like, hands down.
Favorite game. So I do
I
really
guess like you don't have too much experience with some indie, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think you kind of you have a limited choice here.
Yeah, but I will have to say the first one, Combat Evolved, was my all-time favorite Halo game. Just because like
Yeah.
I've played
Classic.
played it hundreds of times, beat it on every game mode hundreds of times, like solo and on split screen stuff like that. That anniversary
Mhm.
edition, and I again like I think I mentioned earlier, like it's a lot. I found it a lot easier to get into, and I do love the change of pace, like when you first are introduced to the flood, and like
Mhm.
it just like randomly turns into like a horror game almost, which is just like it just
Yeah.
like changes things up and
Yeah.
stuff. And, like I remember being like absolutely terrified the first time watching it because like the cutscene with Jenkins, but like that was like the OG Xbox, so like it was dated and super
Yeah.
corny watching it, but like
Yeah. Now.
yeah. Although
It's funny you say that. I think like I think when Halo 3 came out and they did like their kind of version of that change of pace to the flood towards the end of the game,
yeah,
that like scene in like Mombasa and you see like the ship go down with the flood. That I remember being like, oh my god, that's so creepy. And I love like how like kind of scary themed it went with the flood becoming like a zombie invasion in Halo 3. Loved it.
yeah, oh, definitely. And like I think that's kind of what always set the series apart from a lot of them. It's just like because you have like this massive intergalactic war, but then there's also like this other threat that's like much more terrifying, and that's like kind of going on at the same time. Because I mean, even just like gameplay wise, like you'd have like you kill like one flood infected creature, but or like one of the Covenant, and then but then they would get like their body would rise up like zombie style, and like I don't know,
Yeah.
that was absolutely terrifying. I mean, it's like cool as fuck now, but like that was like traumatic for me as a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember going into that mission and having like a bunch of Marines with me, and then they all died like while I was fighting some Covenant, and then the flood started showing up, and like all my Marines immediately started coming back to life. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, and with like the anniversary edition had that change with Reach where like it would show like the squad mates like their names and stuff like that, and like watching them like their names drop off the screen because they like died, which is like damn, like this is super
Yeah.
intense. But at the same time, ultra satisfying when you just like put a shotgun to a flood infected and just like watch them fly across the screen.
You watch them blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
I
favorite?
love that. I miss that, man. We need more flood in the new game.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of teased that there might be something even spookier, but I guess we'll have to wait until the new Halo drops,
Yeah.
which could be a bajillion years from now. What's your favorite?
Seriously.
What's your all-time favorite? I guess Halo game mode. So that's campaign, multiplayer, whatever.
Oh man, multiplayer, Invasion, Reach. The fact that it was like separated as like you play as elites versus like Spartans, and it actually had like a kind of storyline where it's like, okay, you're going to push the elites that have taken over a base. The elites are trying to like set up a bomb. It's like they're trying to escape, and then if you win, you can shoot down their plane at the end. Like, and I think that was like a precursor to like Titanfall's like shoot down the enemy plane while they're trying to leave if they lose. But I loved Invasion. It was so fun. I played hours of Invasion in multiplayer.
Yeah, yeah. See, for me, it was Halo 3 SWAT was my favorite. Like completely frustrating because if you like eat like no shields, if you eat like too many, like 2 or 3 shots, you were out. So I just loved it because it absolutely like mind bending. But I started to get sweaty in the middle of junior high with it.
That's the same thing for me. No, I think I've already said this, but like basically my favorite game was like Reach. I played the crap out of it, but like for me, like my favorite gun was the DMR, and I played the shit out of SWAT and Reach. And the DMR, the single taps always felt so crispy. I don't know about you. You ping me as a BR guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely, 100%. Just like the sound that it would make when you pull the trigger was just like perfect. Yeah. What do you call it? I think I remember like playing the Halo Reach beta like multiplayer, and like I remember like getting the DMR, and like I remember like pulling the trigger for the first time, and I was like confused that only one bullet came out, and there's like a decent amount of time in between like how many shots you can make with it as well. So I remember being like mad confused, but like yeah, I remember like on the beta, like after I got the hang of it, just like slaughtered people because this was like peak controller hands will. So yeah, but I remember like the armor lock used to like piss me off, like all the perks and stuff when they dropped, because like we didn't have that like in Halo 3, right? So I guess honorable mention would have to be
Ball. The griff ball. Hell yeah. Or the skull, man, just the skull. Love beating people with the skull. Yeah, I remember when that beta dropped. I put so many hours into that. I remember waking up for school one day, and I had just gone to sleep like an hour or two or prior my waking up for school, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to just get home and play the beta. And we had like maybe 1 or 2 maps, and I remember like just playing the shit out of it and using like jetpack.
Yeah, no, jetpack was unreal. Jetpack plus DMR, if you have fast hands, unreal. Headshots aplenty. I guess when we talk about Halo, one of the the iconic themes is the theme. So what are your thoughts on the soundtrack? I guess just overall for the Halo games.
Oh man, that's a pretty deep question. I think everyone in the Halo like community will tell you like that OG like the hums, the like beautiful, amazing, can't top it. No game will ever give me that nostalgia factor ever again. But like in terms of like actual other music that's not that like main theme, they have some pretty good bangers, and especially like ODST had like the deep saxophone and piano over like the sounds of rain. Ooh, crispy. What about you? Did you like any particular soundtrack?
I do like ODST. there's like a lo-fi edition that you can find on like YouTube, which I use whenever I'm busy grinding.
Yep.
And like somebody, I think one of the comments I noted was like, it's like a detective theme, which I've never ever thought of ODST as being like a detective game where at least half of the game you're searching for everyone, stuff like that.
Detective game.
Yeah. It even has like the film noir rain going on, but I think Halo 2 had my favorite soundtrack. The iconic Halo theme, but then plus like an electric guitar, which was probably my favorite.
Yep.
As well as In Amber Cloud, which is a banger.
Man, that guitar. So good.
yeah.
So good. I love it. That's hilarious. I think I will say honorable mention. I definitely like Halo 4 had some actually pretty good like lo-fi sounding songs. And I remember I got into this really big like EDM and like drum bass kick, and I found like 2 songs from the Halo 4 theme that like had some guy like just remix it into like EDM, and I fell in love with those songs immediately.
Yeah, there's a few good Halo mashups on that you can find, no problemo. Actually, Reach had a pretty good one, like the intro, like when you're flying
Reach had really good music,
like that first mission and stuff, like when you're flying in onto the mountaintop and stuff. I was like, damn, like Halo Reach was super memorable as well.
Yeah, like even the part where you're in space doing the whole, like the first time they actually let us drive a ship in the Halo series, basically, and that song they played while you're fighting and actually shooting down like Covenant ships. It was awesome, lovely, loved it.
I know that was just like mind blowing to me, like absolutely like mind bending, just because like because in Halo 4 you get to rip it around in the Pelican, right? Yeah, and like to me that was just like I remember like playing it, I was like, no way they're actually gonna let me fly this thing. And then like when you act like when it has like the cutscene when you're jumping into the cockpit, I was like, no way. But yeah, blasting around. I mean, like the worst ending in terms of like sadness for a mission in Halo, because that was absolutely like, yeah. That ruined me.
My addition to that is that ending for Halo 4, even though that game was a little meh for me, that ending with Cortana gets me every time. Like sometimes when I need a good cry, I'll watch that scene because it's still so like, I don't know, it was good, and it's kind of like the end of the era of Chief and Cortana.
Yeah, and like I guess that's kind of I don't know. I think just maybe that's kind of like one of the reasons why I didn't like Halo 4, because it was like kind of like the ending to the series, even though it kind of like it like there's like a change in tone, I guess, because I mean, but at the same time, like you could never ever top Halo 3, because I was just like, man, the release for that was nuts. But yeah, I don't know. Although I wasn't pretty pleased with Halo 5.
Don't even get me started on Halo 5, man. Like I think Halo 4 was not great, but Halo 5 hurt. Okay. That game, it should just cut it off right there, man.
No, let's get into it. What are your thoughts on Halo 5?
I will fight anyone who says that game is good. I mean, like classic hate Bungie, and like, well, it wasn't Bungie at that point; it was 343. But classic, like their shooter style, like it's still a crispy shooter. Don't get me wrong; it felt nice, felt fast. Aesthetically, it looked great. But man, oh man, that story hurt, and I was excited when I first saw the intro cutscene of like Spartan Locke and his team getting debrief, and you find out Buck's like a Spartan now, and you're like, oh my god, like this looks sick. And then just to play a game being like, it's just a game of cat and mouse, and then in the end the whole like hype of like Master Chief being hunted was just bullshit. In the end, it's like, oh no, we're good, man, don't even trip. Like, waste my time.
Yeah, for real, we could have just talked over the phone.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I love that.
I don't know. That was they could have used like Spartan Locke's team just completely different, in my opinion. Like I don't know. It was like decent characters too. It's just misused. The plot's whack. Also, just like the way they used the Spartan Blue.
Misused. Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, I was gonna say, like, they Spartan Locke's team is actually interesting enough that I would like to see more of them. But the way they went about it was like they wasted potential. And then if you read the books or you watch like any Halo Legends and stuff, like the blue team, like Master Chief's team, is like almost legendary and that they're badass as hell. And then half the time they just sit there doing fuck all helping Chief, and it's like I want to see them be badass on their own too. Like I want to see them fucking go clear a room without me doing anything. I want to see that actual badassery translate in game.
Yeah, for real. Because like those like characters like Fred and Linda like and Kelly have been around in the book series.
Yeah.
Like they're like some of the main characters in some of the books, right? And then it was just kind of like, man, like what's going on? And like to me, it just felt like they were like underpowered compared to like how they are like in the book series. I guess more of it to that end. Master Chief in the books is just like a superhero practically, but it was still like kind of weird because like you have like these like side characters that are just as experienced and have been around just as long as Chief, but we're kind of like like Halo 5, they were kind of like weenies to me, which is weird.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. They made him just like sit back and like talk a lot, which is fine. I like the character enough. I want to hear about from them, but they didn't actually like lean into how cool they actually are. And like you said, they are main characters in some of the books too, and they're just as good as Master Chief, if not like on par. And they didn't show it at all. They're just there to be like, no, Chief, don't do it. Or, yeah, man, we got your back. It's like, fucking do something. Be cool. Go fight. Go fucking, like I said, clear a room without me and put it as like an in-game thing that I don't have to actually watch a cutscene for. I want to see them do shit in game, or fucking get a warthog and go shoot around. Like at least do something as a cool NPC or AI. Like just do anything better than just follow me and give me the guns I need.
Yeah, no, for real. Because like I think in the book series, it's mentioned several times that, like for example, Fred was like basically just as good as John, but like one of the reasons why he just never took on that role as the ultimate leader was just because he just didn't like being in that role. So like, and it's just like, man, like you have, I don't know, whack. Also, I hated Linda's armor, like the
like
the weird head goggle things,
the big fucking cameras. Yeah. Like I like Linda. I like how she looks when you see her. Like wow, helmet. I don't think you see her in Halo 5, but like in some of the comics, you can see how she looks, her face. And when they gave her that, I was like, man, they just really wanted people to think she was ugly as shit because that armor is not good by any means.
Yeah, for real.
And then that's why I like Fred's armor too, because Fred's armor is like a variation of like the original Mark III armor that Chief wears, but they, I wish they would have kind of like made it look a little more upgraded, similar to like George's armor from Reach, which is like the Mark II armor, but has like pieces and stuff attached to it. But it's the iconic look, just added to be his own Spartan look.
Yeah, for real. No, I definitely agree because it's just kind of whack. Although, like, I'm glad that we got to see them and stuff, like how they look outside, like in like with the game art and stuff, like without their helmets and stuff, because that was yeah. I do like, honestly, I wish they would like have like make like one of the books into a game or something like that, where you get to see the other Spartans as well. Like when Reach came out, that's what I thought it was going to be like from the book, as well as like I guess the animated thing that they came out with a few years ago, where it was going to have like all the other Spartan 2s, but yeah,
exactly,
instead of Spartan 3s. But
No,
I remember
they
like being heated when that came out, but at the same time, but like now I like absolutely love that game and Noble
yeah.
Team as well.
No, I remember like I love Noble Team. I love Noble Team so much, and that's what got me into reading the books. Was Reach 2 because I we finished the game and you find out like okay, yeah, almost every part of Noble Team dies except for June, who we know had to survive for Halsey to survive, but we don't see that happen. And I was like, what? I gotta know, man. I gotta know. And I finally read up on it. And it's like, yeah, they go into this whole weird dimension thing, and they come back finally, and then he starts becoming the recruiter for like the new Spartans, and he's like one bringing in like ODST, and you find out he's the one who made Buck into a Spartan, and apparently Romeo from ODST is a Spartan too, who we never see.
Yeah,
But I wish we got to see that stuff. That'd be cool.
yeah, and like I mean, like Buck's character's actually like he's one of my favorite too, and like it's kind of a shame we didn't get to see that backstory.
I love Buck. I love Nathan Fillion. Love Buck.
I love how they made him look exactly how he is too.
Or even like something that yeah, exactly. It's just Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Always. But like if we had even like some kind of like clue or intuition or something that told us like, hey, this is how I became a Spartan. Like we knew in the ODST that he was good enough to be a Spartan. But if we got to see, or at least in the games know how he became a Spartan, it would make me more interested instead of having to go seek out that information somewhere else.
Yeah, no, for real. Because I think they just turned that stuff into a comic book or something like that, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And like it's like a pretty intense like story in between ODST and I guess Halo 5 with like for like Buck's story. Because like
and you find out the rookie passes away too. He dies, and like all this shit that goes down between that ODST squad.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Because like, man, like what the fuck? I thought like the rookie would have been.
I want to see that game.
Yeah, because it's just like super intense. Yeah, and with like Mickey's betrayal and stuff like that. I'm probably gonna play ODST again soon, I think. I guess where do you see the series going?
I don't know, man. After this game, like you can tell they're trying to, after like Halo Infinite, you can tell they're trying to reach into like the deep lore, like the Forerunner deep lore with like Mendican bias and all that. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with it. I wish I could say, but you can tell they're trying to really like appeal to the deep fandom with this last game, and yeah, with that tease at the end. So we'll see, but I don't know. I want to see more Forerunner stuff, but it almost seems like they're trying to like a deeper of Forerunner, because we always see like the rings and about like how they started them, but I want to see like, I don't know, like their war and their initial confrontation with Flood. But it seems like they're trying to phase away from Forerunner and kind of head into this new direction of like the new alien species. I can't remember off the top of my head right now that they've introduced.
Yeah. I guess what are your thoughts on like if they had like a Halo game, but it was like set during like the peak of the Forerunner era?
Well, I would love to see that. I don't know if they'll be able to incorporate into a game, because it's like, who do you play as, right? Like, but I think I would love to see that in somehow, like even if it's a game and they can figure out how to play in it as like a decent character that someone we could like understand who they are. I would love to see it. But even if they made like a movie explaining all that, I would love that. Like an anime movie, I'd be fucking A-okay with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, because like every time we hear about the Forerunners, it's always like how their civilization collapsed, right? So it'd be kind of cool to see like a little bit more like, and apparently they had a war with the humans. I don't know. It's kind of it's just kind of like
they have like a war with humans and Flood. Yeah, it really is.
I don't know. I honestly I think not just for me as well, but like a lot of people, that's kind of when people fell off from Halo, was when it got like super convoluted with all that extra stuff without like decent in-game explanations other than hunting down terminals and shit in Halo 3. But
yeah, the storyline's definitely taken a twist now, because like, you know, originally it's like fighting the Covenant and then stopping them from accessing the Halo rings, and now we have, you know, the whatever they're called, the new bad guys, and they were in Halo Wars, but you know, they were kind of like, I've never really gave a shit about the Halo War games, so it's kind of like, I want them to have like a good enough plot that, you know, it's universally understood and like it relates to what we've been doing. But when you throw like, oh, now we're fighting a new bad guy because they're trying to do the same shit the Covenant did, but you know, fucking they're different. It's like, I don't care. I want something unique, but not crazy that I can't understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, for real.
So have you watched Halo Legends and like Forward Unto Dawn?
So I watched Legends actually a while, like recently, like I want to say a year or two ago, and like I think it was like pretty good, but like I think like a lot of it seemed like kind of dated. Like it was kind of like it felt like they were almost like a little bit like, I guess like there wasn't that much funding put into it as compared to like other like anime adaptations of other series. But I did watch Forward Unto Dawn actually like a couple of weeks ago. It was, I mean, like it's almost like a fan movie, I guess, which is kind of, with this new Halo TV series coming out, I'm kind of like wary about it. And I think that's just because like a lot of the stuff that we've had like for like live action kind of bleh. But I don't know, it'll be interesting because they have, I think it's on like a different timeline or something like that, like a completely new, like almost like
it's
a fan fiction.
Like yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be like in the same universe, but like their version of like a what if, like if this happened differently. I mean, it looks interesting so far. We'll get to the big Cortana question here in a second, but I want them to do something similar to like the Halo Reach and like Halo 3 live action, like stuff like that. Stuff felt like it was real. It felt like it was good media. Like they took time to actually like produce these like short clips that were made for, you know, for these games. But then Forward Unto Dawn felt like, yeah, they just kind of, you know, took a sit back and they're like, here's our IP, do something fun with it, don't waste too much money.
yeah definitely. And like that's why I don't know, like to me, like a lot of like the CGI'd explosions in the trailer that we got for the new series look kind of off, and that's why I'm kind of like, that's one of the reasons why I'm worried about it. And also like I don't know, it's just like weird, but at the same time I think I just do have high expectations because it's set like 500 years into the future, but there's a dude with like an AK, just like
yeah. I mean, I think that's it, right? Like it's something that we love, and as fans we want to see it do good, but then when we see it get represented in like any actual media and not like look what we expect or want, it immediately gives us like the disappointing, like I don't know if this is going to do as good as I think it is or as good as I want it to do, you know.
Is that you talking about Cortana or the portrayal of Cortana that we've got?
Oh my god.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you want to go there? You want to talk about Cortana?
I mean, they could have just had her as a voice. Like they didn't have to show her. Like you could have cut quarters and saved money or funding and stuff like that, and just like not show her because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like I said on the podcast when I was on it, like I wish they had like we have the idea of her being like this like synthetic little AI, and it's like why can't we just get some decent looking like CGI and try to like at least somewhat replicate. I mean, I don't want her to look like a real human. I want her to look like she's an AI projected from a computer. Like I want it to be. It's okay if it's not like a fucking skin tone person. Like I want it to look different. But yeah, if they had kept the voice actor, I would have been happy. But the fact that they just were like, "Fuck it, we ran out of budget, so here's a blue wig and blue eye contacts. Go stand over there."
Yeah, we'll put this LED light under you or something. Yeah, like they could have just had the voice. That's it. Like just didn't have to show
Exactly.
her anything. It calls into question if
it's a shame, man. It's a shame.
the producers and showrunners ever actually played Halo. Yeah.
Seriously, though. I don't know. I don't know. Looking at that, like that stuff, it genuinely makes me wonder. Like, did you blow all your budget on everything else? Because it's like that's something it's really hard to mess up. It's like we've literally had in the last how many years, like the Sonic ordeal, where fans were not happy with how it looked because it didn't look like the game, and it's like it's fucking very simple to just make it look like the game. That's what we want. That's what we know. Why would you change it? No one wants to see it changed, and yet they still persist.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of adaptations are kind of tricky, right? Because we'll see how Cortana is, and
they are tricky, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just like I said, it's yes, an adaptation is tricky, but it's very hard to mess something up that we already know what it looks like, Yeah. So how do you not just rip that? You don't even need to do anything with it. You just literally copy paste it. And, maybe it looks a little different because, it's real life versus a game, but like at least try to get fucking close. Like you don't need to replace the whole thing and make it look different because it's live action. We can make it look better and ends up looking worse. It's not that hard. We have the template. Just use it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree because I don't know. It's kind of weird to see, especially like after, like when I think of Cortana, I think of like this hologram thing with like code and stuff running down her arms and body and stuff like what we saw in Halo 1 and Halo 2. Okay, so
even in the newest game and in Halo 4 as well, they changed what she looked like in the games, Halo 5 and the new one. But I wasn't a fan of those. Like, and not that I'm like I want to see naked Cortana with code, but like I'm used to seeing that over years. Why do we have to make her fucking wear some fucking lieutenant outfit or like ship commander outfit, and then and then even in the new one they make her look. They give her like the old purple color, but then they give her some weird outfit that's not even the same one from Halo 5. It's like, guys, fucking make up your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think they'll ever be able to top the OG trilogy when it comes to regards for like aesthetics and stuff. But I guess quick question.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite, I guess, supporting cast member that we see in the Halo games and other Halo media?
That's funny you say that. I am maybe it's just my inner gamer boy, but like I love sniping in Halo. Like I think every guy who fucking finally gets to pick up a sniper and hits a crispy headshot and it gets like the little headshot medal will tell you like I love sniping. But like for me, I like the side characters snipe. So like Romeo from ODST and June from a Noble Team. And June's like the silent strong, and my favorite color is green, and he's green. And I was like, man, that's my boy. And then to find out he survives, like that's my shit right there. And then he fucking is the one who brings Buck in. Like I love June. I think June's probably one of my favorite like side characters. And even though In latest stuff, you don't see him or hear about him a whole lot. Like just his like everything we've gotten from June in the past, I love. I think he's like one of the better Spartans that have come out of the games and the comics.
Yeah, I agree. Like I remember like that one solo mission that you have with him when you're like sneaking around at night to like scout out the Covenant base on Reach. Like he was like I don't want to say like creepy, but it was like almost like unnerving, like the way like how he's like giving you tips and stuff like that, and like how to like basically like kill people like aliens like silently and stuff, like backstabbing elites and all that.
Assassinate them.
Yeah. I think personally my favorite supporting cast member is OG Sergeant Johnson, just from back in the day. But yeah, Sergeant Johnson knows what the ladies like. No, just like
exactly.
Especially like how like out of pocket he is in the first game. Like you just hear him just like in the audio like shouting out like all his like different catchphrases and stuff. So Halo, like Halo 1,
I think
like it's so like he like provided like that like comedic relief.
Yeah, and like Halo 2, when they remastered it, it was like beautiful to see him remastered and saying the same dumb shit, but in crispier detail. And it's like, God, I think you're right. Like Halo, Sergeant Johnson, that man had no chill. He had no business being that cavalier during like a fucking full-on invasion, but he did not give a shit.
Yeah, for real. Also, like fun fact, apparently he was like a part of like the Spartan 1 program, like the Orion project. So he was like kind of like the generation.
He's one of the
chief, which like explains like why he's like a lot older. Like
he's one of the few that survived.
Yeah, and he like aged slower. So like I think by the time like Halo 1 comes around, he's like he'd technically be like 70 or 80 years old, but like he looks like he's middle-aged. But it's like they just like copy and pasted some like random drill sergeant into it. They're just perfect.
Who's the comedic relief? Fuck it, we'll have a guy who's supposed to be a Spartan, but he's not a Spartan and he just doesn't give a shit. It's like, okay, sure, that works. Sergeant Johnson was probably the S tier character.
Yeah, rest in peace. How he got killed by a light bulb.
Seriously.
Such
a shame.
I think that's all that we have for this episode of Lords of Lore Collisions. Title to be determined. We'll find out.
Collision?
Where we have two people mashed up to discuss something that they love. So I will and like to give a shout out and a thank you to Mr. Joe for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, well, I guess we'll catch you all later another time. We're Lords of Lore. I don't know. I'm not as good as Matt when it comes to
Lords of Lore.
Lords of Lore. We are the Lords of Lore. I don't know. I'll have to practice that.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty. Catch you guys later.